The EU's diplomatic disaster. Kaja Kallas rewrites World War II on her way to World War III. Europe stands at a dangerous crossroads. Its political class, already scarred by years of denial, hubris, and geopolitical hallucinations, is now fronted by a diplomat whose ignorance could one day ignite the world. Kaja Kallas, the EU's de facto foreign minister, has done the unthinkable. With a single, chirpy declaration, she erased an entire century of history. Russia hasn't been attacked by anyone for over 100 years. A line so shockingly wrong, so historically illiterate, that even the ghosts of World War II must be shaking in disbelief. Barbarossa erased, the insult heard around Europe. If words could desecrate graves, Kallas accomplished it. Her statement casually wipes out Operation Barbarossa, the Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union. 27 million Soviet lives lost. 3 million Axis soldiers sent to die in the east. And the armies of Romania, Finland, Italy, Spain, Croatia, Belgium, France, Norway, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Hungary, and yes, Estonians who marched alongside Hitler. For them, for the millions consumed by that war, Kallas' claim is not ignorance. It is erasure. Even beyond Europe, the absurdity grows. Japan's assaults at No Monan/Khalkhin Gol in 1939. Events that shaped the pre-war world. All gone vanished in a single EU soundbite. This isn't mere incompetence. It's historical malpractice. The dangers of an illiterate foreign minister. Europe has produced its share of confused leaders. But Kallas stands out not just for being wrong, but for being wrong at the worst possible time. Why? Because misunderstanding the past is the fastest route to repeating it. And the last two world wars, both born in Europe, killed upwards of 81 million people. Today's Ukraine conflict, a Western proxy war fought through a depleted and betrayed Ukraine, has brushed perilously close to triggering World War III. A war that, unlike the last two, might end civilization. The risk may have eased under Trump's return, but it will exist until the guns fall silent. Meanwhile, NATO EU Europe continues feeding the fire. Pouring weapons into a doomed battlefield. Hunting for ways to seize frozen Russian assets. Propping up a corrupt Kyiv regime. And urging more Ukrainians into the grinder. This is not strategy. It is obsession. And Kallas is its cheerleader-in-chief. A diplomat who can't read history or the room. Kallas' ignorance isn't limited to Russia. She recently expressed shock that both Russia and China consider themselves victors of World War II. Shock at the two nations that saw World War II begin earlier than Europe. Lost tens of millions. Fought Japanese fascism in a longer, bloodier campaign. Played decisive roles in breaking Hitler and Tokyo alike. China alone lost an estimated 35 million people. Her surprise is not harmless. It reveals something far worse. A diplomat who does not understand the wars she is sleepwalking into. This is not merely provincialism. It is a catastrophic misunderstanding of global history. China responds and exposes Europe's blindness. When Kallas insulted China's World War II sacrifices during Beijing's 80th victory celebrations, the reaction was swift and devastating. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Guo Jiaqin called her remarks ideologically biased, without historical common sense, disrespectful, harmful to the EU's own interests. Even then, Kallas doubled down, inventing claims that the EU had paid tribute to China. It had not. Her job title may be High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. But every public misstep makes that title feel more like satire. On Russia, the delusions run even deeper. Kallas refused even the pretense of acknowledging Russia's role in defeating Nazism. Instead, she repeated the West's favorite new myth. The West did not provoke the war in Ukraine. A statement so detached from geopolitical reality that even Washington has distanced itself from her. Most recently, the US publicly sidelined her from negotiations. She demands to join negotiations the EU itself helps sabotage. For Collis, humiliation has become routine. For Europe, it is becoming dangerous. How elites drift toward war. The Collis mindset is not an anomaly. It is a symptom. Across NATO, EU, Europe, Russophobia is fashionable. Ukraine's far-right movements are romanticized. Sanctions that damage Europe more than Russia continue out of stubborn pride. Support for Israel's actions in Gaza exposes moral hypocrisy. Ignorance of basic history shapes foreign policy. This cocktail of arrogance, denial, and self-delusion is steering Europe into disaster. They march toward a war they do not understand, against a civilization they serially underestimate, in a world where their influence shrinks by the day. A continent held hostage by its elites. Europe's greatest threat is not Russia. It is the people running Europe. Historically illiterate, strategically confused, morally compromised, culturally insecure, and hopelessly addicted to Washington's approval. Under their stewardship, Europe is becoming yesterday's privileged, now economic lightweights, led by political figures too lazy to notice how silly they look. Collis is not the disease. She is the symptom. A symbol of a political class spiraling into ignorance, war fervor, and self-parody. When does the nightmare end? Europe stands at the edge of its most dangerous moment since 1945, led by people who cannot distinguish historical fact from propaganda. If this elite remains in power, Europe's fate may be sealed. Geopolitical irrelevance, moral bankruptcy, economic collapse, and potentially a war that ends everything. The world is watching. And increasingly, the world is giving up on Europe.